The law? Justice? Police? What do you honestly think will happen, Nazir? I didn't know how to answer him. The police are not interested in you, he said softly. They don't care about us. Justice doesn't mean anything to us. Just make sure you don't walk home alone from school next time. He dabbed away at my face. Stay one step ahead of them, right? Because there is no justice. I wanted to challenge him, to tell him that he was wrong, but I couldn't. My mouth seemed to be on strike. There is no justice. Maybe he was right, and maybe, deep down, I knew it too. It wasn't the first time this kind of thing had happened, and I certainly wasn't the only person in my community to be attacked for the colour of my skin. The blows kept coming. Why now did I suddenly think the law could help me? Whenever I caught the ball in rugby at school, kids would shout, "Get the packy!" and slam me to the ground and grind my face in the mud. And every time I had kept quiet. When a group of boys at school ripped the sleeve off my new school jacket, I'd not only held my tongue, but did my best to hide the evidence from Mum. I raided her sewing kit and inexpertly sewed the sleeve back on. I didn't want my parents to know what was happening to me, and I certainly didn't want to think that I couldn't handle the abuse I was getting, even if they probably knew all along. But this time, I had realized something. Racism wasn't a test I had to pass. It wasn't something that I had to put up with. And I certainly wasn't going to spend the rest of my life running from abusers. There, all done, Dad said, taping a gauze patch above my eyebrow. Get some sleep and don't think about them. They're not worth it. Later, when Dad came in to say goodnight, I asked if he could leave the hall light on. I couldn't sleep that night, and its soft glow crept under my door. I stared at the ceiling, wide-eyed, the warm breeze floating through the open window along with the muted sounds of the neighborhood. Dad's words rattled around in my mind. There is no justice. I tossed and turned in my sheets, but peace wouldn't come. I lay for hours, my mind racing, and I waited for daybreak. Chapter 1. It might not have seemed like it that afternoon, but Dad hadn't always been so sceptical about the idea of justice. In fact, it was the reason that he brought us to England in the first place, and it was he who instilled in me from an early age the importance of doing your best to right a wrong. Muhammad, or Baba as we called him, worked for many years as a caterer with the British Army. Born in what is now Pakistan, as part of his service to the British he had been stationed in India, first throughout the Second World War and then for decades afterwards. In 1960 he was offered the chance to work at a military base in Cyprus. Not long after he arrived, he was robbed of a sizable sum of money. Under a hot sun in a tent in Akrotiri, he vowed to find the thief and recover what was owed. Anyone who served in the British Army at the time would have known not to mess with the caterers. Charwallas had a history of pursuing people across the globe if they didn't settle their tick book, and Dad was no exception. It took him less than a year to find out who was responsible, and that they were now in England. Never one to hang around, he boarded a plane to Heathrow. It was the beginning of the swinging 60s, and London was at its heart. Dad was in no rush to return home, so while he sought out his money, he chose to stay a while and explore the city. Staying in a bedsit in West London with fellow immigrants, Dad was soon in demand for his skills with the English language. It wasn't long before his neighbours relied on him to translate for them, and I bet those same people played a part in helping my dad get his stolen money back, because, in not much time at all, he had tracked down the